Are you struggling with taking decisions? Or maybe you can't stop constant negative self-talk? Are you struggling with constant self-doubt and low self-esteem? All this and many other negative consequences you might have if you're a child of a parent narcissist. And today we will talk about how to recognize that your mother might be a narcissist and what to do about it, how to handle the consequences of her behavior. And in the very end, I will give you an exercise that you can do today to help you handle those consequences. Before we begin, I have to remind you that this video is not done by a mental or medical professional, and if you are dealing with a consequence of childhood trauma, you need to get a consultation of a therapist. Let's get going. So what is a narcissistic personality style? Narcissist is a person who has very low empathy towards others and sees other people only as a source, as a matter to satisfy their own needs. Do narcissists love themselves? Interestingly, no. They have deeply rooted belief that they are not worthy, kind of rotten human beings. And the way they deal with it is by creating this false facade of being the prettiest, the smartest, and the greatest. Never criticize a narcissist. I've prepared for you 9 hints that will help you understand that your mother might be a narcissist. The first one is constant criticism. No matter what you do, it's never good enough. It seems like all your mother has to say about you, your life, your achievements, or your partnerships is always bad. There are few reasons why she might do that. First of them is control. She wants to control you. She is the only person that must be around you, that your life must be centered around. Another reason is to show everybody that she is better than everybody else, including you. Hint number 2, you are an extension of your mother. Growing up, you didn't have a right to have your own emotions, your likes and dislikes, and to make your own choices. If your mother is upset, you can't feel anything else but upsetness. If your mother is happy, you must be cheerful as well. And all the choices she will do for you. She will choose which university you will go to, which profession you will study. In some cases, they also try to choose which partner you will be with. Another side of this being an extension of her is being your mother's confidant. Growing up, you were the one who would listen to her complaints about her work, her personal life, her relationships. A lot of grown-up stuff that you didn't need to hear, didn't want to hear, and that was harmful for you. Hint number 3, you are constantly compared with others, and you are never good enough. Everybody else, anybody, really, is always better than you. And it goes in any kind of direction. Even the golden child, the perfect daughter to the outside world, will be bad for her mother. Imagine a girl that studies well at school, helps at home, who is always polite, who does everything that her mother asks from her. Even she won't be good enough. Even her mother will compare with somebody else. If she has good marks, she will compare her to somebody who has good social life and big circle of friends. If she doesn't have good marks, she will compare her to somebody who does have good marks. It doesn't really matter what you do. You will never achieve that imaginary standard where you are good enough. You will be constantly compared and devalued. Before we continue, I want to make an important announcement. I have a dream. I want to make a community of like-minded women where we can get together, support each other, where I can share very exclusive coaching information, self-development tips and techniques, where we can have closed lectures to share exclusive information and Q&A sessions where you can ask your own questions and get them answered from me. And I've created that club. It will start working June 1st. Every month we will be discussing a new topic. Each topic, of course, is the one that matters to us girls. And in June we will be talking about romantic relationships. You can join the club right now via the link that I will leave in the description to this video. It's free. For the first 2 weeks of June, you can join us absolutely for free, and already in the channel of the club, you will find a lot of information and exclusive posts and tests that you can take. So join us right now. But let's continue. Tip number 4. You can't say no to your mother. You must do whatever she wants. It was like that when you were growing up, and it's the same way right now. You must call the amount of times that she wants. You must come whenever she wants. You must, I don't know, give her money, take her to hospital whenever she asks. Whatever she wants, you must satisfy. I've read a story on the internet where a woman refused to take her mother to a hospital, not for a serious matter, it was just a checkup. And on that day, the woman had a surgery of her daughter. So she had to stay with her daughter, and she told her mother, I will take you to the doctor any other day you choose, but not that day. I can't, I have to be with my daughter. And what followed is that mother basically broke ties with her daughter, trashed her to all the relatives, and even opened a lawsuit against her in the court. Such huge, out of proportion reaction to a simple refusal, a simple no. You can't say no to a narcissist because you exist as somebody, as a tool to satisfy her needs. Tip number 5. She constantly talks bad about you behind your back. As said, this often happens when you did something wrong, something against the narcissist, but it might happen in parallel anyway, all the time. For 2 reasons. First of all, she is the good one. She must tell everybody that you are the bad person. She is the good one. She is the victim. She is the one who suffers. And the second one is, again, to have control over you. Because if you believe that you are the bad, miserable, weak little being that does not deserve love from anybody else, you will stick to your mother and you will continue doing what she wants. Tip number 6, she is always the victim. Nothing that happens is ever her fault or responsibility. Everything is the fault of circumstances or other people, and oftentimes it's your fault. Being a victim has a lot of perks. First of all, you don't have to do anything. Second of all, nothing is ever your responsibility, as said. And third, you always deserve and expect empathy of others. You can always come to other people and complain about your life or your daughter and get this empathy. This is a benefit of being the victim. And if your mother is the victim, think about who is the aggressor. There is always that someone who helps her stay the victim. It might be your father, for example. Bad husband who mistreats her, who abuses her, who she can't leave because she is so weak and she spent so many years on this marriage. And then you become the savior, the one who is always trying to fix her life, to fix her relationship, to help her, to give her resources, to motivate her. This is bad for your life because you have to spend this mental energy or resources or any other things on her when she could handle it herself. Another side of it is when you are the aggressor. You are the one who helps her stay the victim. The bad child who never visits, never gives money, gives bad gifts, and so on and so on. And then you feel like you are bad inside because your mother constantly communicates with you that you are a bad person. So if she is a victim, search for aggressor. Hint number 7. She's constantly guilt-tripping you and says that you owe her. Such mother, a narcissistic mother, might constantly communicate to her child, if not for you, I would build an amazing career. If not for you, I would have a relationship. I spent so much money and resources on you. Why is this happening? Because for a narcissistic mother, you are not a human being that was created out of love and for love. You are a project that she invested into and from which she's expecting an outcome. Tip number 8. She is gaslighting you. Gaslighting is an emotional abuse technique when you make the other person question their reality. For example, you say that something happened and this is how you remember it. And she says, it never happened. And you start wondering if you're a sane person, if everything is fine with your brain. This is gaslighting, very abusive emotional technique that will make you uncertain about your own reality. You will not be able to trust your own self, and you will be left to rely on whatever she says. And tip number 9, she has rage outbursts. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Have you ever seen a 3-year-old having a tantrum in a shop? when they fall on the ground, cry and scream, and there is no way to stop it unless you do exactly what the child wants. That's what a narcissistic mother does whenever you do something against of her will. These outbursts can have different form. She might start screaming and yelling, or try to physically attack you, or harm you in any other way. And what this does to you, it makes you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells. And whatever you do, it might cause this crazy rage outburst. So you're constantly careful. You become hyper vigilant. You constantly look for signs of her mood worsening. You are the one who is responsible for her mood and her emotions, and you must alter your behavior accordingly. Let's talk about what you can do to help yourself if your mother has certain narcissistic tendencies. I chose 7 steps, and the first one is recognize that you can't change her. I heard very nice metaphor from an expert on narcissists. She said, you can't change weather, no matter how much you dislike it. The same thing is with a person who is a narcissist. You can't change them. You can't help them. This is how they are. You need to release that responsibility that you are responsible for her life, for emotions, for her well-being. You are responsible for your own life. You have to shift your focus on yourself. Step number 2, mourn your relationship. You didn't get the parent you deserved, and you have a right to be upset about it. Take a moment to recognize that this is what happened. It actually happened no matter what your mother says. It wasn't good. Recognize it. Help yourself feel it. This is self-validation that will help you move forward. Step number 3, probably the most important one, is establishing the boundary and limiting the interaction if necessary. What is establishing a boundary? If you tell her over a phone call that if she doesn't stop yelling, you will cut the call, but she continues yelling and you don't stop the conversation, this is not a boundary being established. Boundary is established when you tell her this is what you will do if she doesn't change her behavior, and you actually do it until the person learns to recognize that this is what will happen and learns to control her own behavior. Step number 4, protect your interests. It goes about your emotional interests and about your very practical interests as well. As said, you have to shift your focus towards your own life and your own needs. Stop trying to satisfy your mother just to avoid some rage outburst or passive aggression comment. You will never have your own life if you continue doing that. The practical aspect of it is when your mother has rage outbursts or she's unhappy with you, she might do different things that will harm you very practically. For example, like in that case when she opened a lawsuit against of you. You have to be aware of these things, kind of limit your trust to that person and be very careful with your personal affairs. Step number 5, do not use her manipulation techniques against her because you will lose, and this cycle of ping pong manipulation back and forth will never finish. If she says, my friend's daughter calls her every day, and you reply with, the phone works both ways, you know, you will continue throwing these manipulations and passive aggression comments back and forth until she goes into a rage episode or something like that. It won't help. Best way to react to this is either ignoring it, just skip because the emotional reaction is what she wants. So just ignore. Or second one, establishing a boundary. If you say that, if you do that, that's what I will do, and do it. Step number 6, work with your inner child. Help your inner child heal. Recognize the experience that you went through. Be that kind parent that you didn't have for your inner child. And I will give you a technique to do that in a minute. Step number 7 is a very nice technique that I picked up from an expert. It's called count the abuse. When you talk to the person, count the cases of passive aggression comments, abusive comments. This will help you to detach emotionally from whatever she is saying. You're just observing, you're just counting it. And a good way to take it further is to promise yourself something nice, depending on the amount of these cases. If she does it 5 times, you will buy yourself an ice cream, for example. If she does it 10 times, you will buy yourself a new eyeliner. And this will help you stay emotionally detached and kind of look forward to her behavior. As promised, the exercise, the inner child work. I offer to you to write 2 letters. First letter is a letter from you, your 8-year-old self, to you today. And the second letter is a letter from your 80-year-old self to you today. The first one is a communication between your inner child and you. This will help you to immerse in that state of being your inner child, and will help you let him, her finally speak. This will help you remember things that you don't even remember, recognize them, mourn about them, and give your child, your inner child, the support that they needed and they didn't receive. The second letter from your 80-year-old self will help you get that support from a kind grown-up that is very positive towards you, that loves you a lot. This is like having that kind mother that you didn't have. So do these two letters one after another, maybe in 2 days, maybe not immediately. First from your 8-year-old self, second is from your 80-year-old self. Thank you for watching this video. Share in comments your experiences with your abusive mothers. I'm very curious to read. I will reply to them. Join our online female club. I'm looking forward to see you there. And I will also see you in my next video. Bye bye.